Okay. Okay, everyone. So it's been nearly a week, I think. Just been traveling in some areas that are a bit hard to get to, and traveling with the family and that. Bit hard to find the time to do the live. I'm back in the office for today, but away again. Hopefully, I'll still be able to do the lives over the next couple of days. Um, Traveling alone, so anyway, this is Rangadad. Not financial advice, just the way I'm looking at the market. Pretty critical area here for Bitcoin. It's just on the lower time frames. It's just retesting the breakout at the moment. But yeah, those that are in the Discord channel will know that I've been still pretty bullish all through this sideways action that we've had. It's kind of sideways up and to the right. There's all sorts of things people have been coming up with, saying, we've got to going back down 85, 72, somewhere in between. There's a couple of reasons why my gut's telling me maybe not, but we'll also go through what it might do at the moment, because potential here at the moment is this is actually a false break and we go back into the channel that we've just created. So what I'm going to put up first is this here is a chart that a lot of people were pointing at, saying for Bitcoin to reach 100K, this has got to break down. It's never broken down since, inception, 2018, whatever. And look, this has been a pretty good proxy for overall how markets are going. Generally, when USDT dominance is up, Bitcoin is down. But what concerns me about using things like these is Wall Street now being involved and the amount of money that's now in the ETFs. Just they're not going to go back into USD when stuff is breaking down. And the other thing is USDC is now a much bigger player in the market as well. So what I would look at personally is this chart here. If this is even going to give a read in the future. So this chart is USDT plus USDC market cap plus DAI market cap. So the three biggest stable coins out there, divided by Bitcoin market cap. All right. You'll see here that we kind of broke this structure ages ago. Realistically, the market cap of all these has been on the decline compared to Bitcoin for a while. Okay. And this leg up here was actually the start, basically the start of the rally at the end of 2023. So the one that I showed previously, just ignore it. It doesn't mean anything. It's not going to govern whether Bitcoin goes to 100K or not. All right. There's too many other things in play that just ignore that. Okay, so on the daily, one of the things I mentioned in Discord was never short a dull market. I've said this a couple of times on the channel. This is a dull market, sort of just grinding sideways and up, grinding sideways and up. And in addition to that is, especially after Bitcoin's pumping, like we started a bull run that this move is literally only a 2-week move after 8 or 9 months of consolidation sideways, basically bull flagging. That is not going to end slowly or quietly. If we just did use that as the measured move from the breakout, that gets you to over 110. I don't think that's what the measurement will be, to be honest, maybe towards the top, but there's another general rule that once you're into the nines of anything, then chances are you hit the 10 pretty quick. So it looks like Bitcoin wants to do that. Am I saying we're going to go directly from 93.5 where we're at the moment straight to 100K? Not really, but it is probably more likely than not at this stage. We'll have to see how this retest goes at the 93.5 level, this high here. But closing above this high, then yeah, I don't see why 100K isn't on the cards pretty quickly. Had a little dip in BBWP. Typically, when you do get a big run up like this and extreme BBWP, you'll get a little dip, and it could take a little while, but then you'll get another little spike, and then it'll cool off, and that's when you'd be expecting your bigger pullback, mean reversion type pullback. So yeah, just remember that Wall Street's involved here, and shit's not going to happen the way it's happened in the past. The advanced decline line's actually dipped off a little bit today, which I'll look at that later with general stocks, but we have had a sell signal on the bullish smart money indicator. That's probably not a bad signal, but quite often it keeps running after those sell signals. So, yeah, good point to take some profit off. But at this stage, stochastic momentum looks like it's ticking back above the signal line. If we close sort of here or better, or to be honest with you, even if we probably close down around 92, that's going to be the case. What I also mentioned in Discord was the Bitcoin longs. They've started to accumulate again, and it looks like they're still accumulating even on this little pump here. So it suggests people think this is going a bit further, which obviously shouldn't really surprise anyone. That was a good clear out before we sort of chop sideways for a bit. But yeah, generally on a big leg up like this, you'll see clear out, a little bit of reaccumulation, and then they'll start to take profits again. Okay. As we can see here. So they took profits right near the top of the next pump. A little bit of accumulation, then it went up again. Then they started taking profits again. So kind of expecting something similar to that. It could be something like this, like there could be a bit of a fake out to the upside here, and we'll get into what that looks like at this stage in a second. The other thing I wanted to point out, this is the Traders Reality indicator. It's got last week's high in there, so we're sort of retesting that high at the moment, which was at 93,400. We'll probably dance around here a little bit. I'd like to see a bounce off that 20 EMA, I think that is. No, that's right, that's the 13 EMA on the 15-minute. That'd be a good point for a bounce. Wouldn't surprise me if we sort of chop a little bit and maybe even come back down and retest yesterday's high. It's already done that. Like that was the breakout from yesterday's high, retest and then go. But we've also recovered most of the vectors on the way up here. So according to his vectors. Similar with mine. This is something I'll put out for you guys reasonably soon. It's just a trend indicator I came across. If you want to look it up, it's called Trend Levels by Chart Prime. Actually, this could be bigger pullback in here, just based on this action at the moment. Yeah, Trend Levels by Chart Prime. I've just added something. I just added the price up in the table here that it would flip to be the opposite trend. It seems to be, if I have this set at 200 look back, I think I got that at 200. Yeah, 200 look back on the 15-minute chart, which is basically a 50 on the hourly. Seems to be pretty good at picking overall trends. And sometimes you get a lag, sometimes you get a bit of flip-flopping, but in general, like this was the last signal that it went bullish on. So bullish trend. I'm just looking at using this for my trend following part of my strategy. Just because if I can have that and just be taking sort of longs, buying the dip on this, then it should work out pretty well. Same with bearish trends, like it tends to get towards the top of a bearish trend. So, it's not a bad little indicator, and it's so simple in what it does, but yeah, you can potentially weed out some areas that are pretty flat as well. So I'm having a little bit of a play with that at the moment, but as you can see, like bearish trend, bullish, flip-flopped a bit, gone bearish. But yeah, in general, gets the start of some pretty big moves and doesn't go too bad on the small ones either. A little bit of a flip-flop there, but yeah, bullish. All right, so you can look that one up now. I'll release mine a little bit later. It just literally just has that price to flip on it. So yeah, wouldn't be surprised if this just retests this level here. It was a pretty decent level through here a few times. If we break down below sort of 93K on a closing 15-minute candle, then the 50 EMA and potentially even the 100 EMA are targets. Yeah. Sorry. So what I was going to get at with if this is a fake out, let's just go to a fresher chart. That's not a fresher chart. Pretty decent signals through there as well. Let's have a look. Just turn that off. All right, so basically this was a wedge. Actually came back down into here, I think. That one was a better example of it. So wedging there, horizontal line there. That horizontal line realistically is probably through there. I mean, to be honest with you, it's probably even that is a better level. But we've had a couple of fake outs of it. Fake out didn't really reconfirm, so not closing back above this high is a breakdown. So yeah, it was always kind of wanting to come back down there. fact that this was a rising wedge, I've actually seen these break down quite a lot to the downside. Not a huge fan of wedge patterns, but in a bull market when everything's still frothy, then break to the upside of this pattern wouldn't go astray. It would make sense. Now, if we retest this and bounce off and clear this high here, then yeah, 100K is definitely on the cards. Whether we get there or get close, I think a measured move here would be, depends where you take it, but let's just take it from there. Basically 100K and change. That proofs out pretty well. What you don't want to see is a breakdown of this. So if this closes back within here and sort of even if this comes back down to the bottom side of this wedge, chances are it's going to break through and your price target is actually essentially there, which is your 85K. So we do have two resolutions of this wedge, which would make sense. So why would that make sense? Because basically, one, you got the 100K market. It's going to be a target, nice round number. Everyone's looking at it. I'll be taking profit a little bit before the 100K mark just to make sure I get out before it reverses. But if we also look at the 1 week, there is quite a bit of liquidity down around the 85K mark. Let's go back a little bit further. So yeah, within that 85 to 86, there's a fair chunk of liquidity there, right? Even in that area in general. The reason why I didn't think it was going down there was because you can kind of see it here, and I'll show a closer view of it, but whenever we were taking a pullback, there was a heap of shorts coming into the market, way more shorts coming into the market than what there were longs. And the market wants to go where the trades are going to happen. And if you've got that much liquidity up there and you're in a bull market, it's probably going to try and take it. Now, another reason why, and the 3-day should show this pretty well, you can see there, like just the amount of shorts that started coming in from this level. Everyone started getting bearish on it. Lots of shorts coming in, and these aren't small numbers, like 280 million. That's way bigger than what we were getting when we were in that big 8-month range, right? So lots more shorts than longs. There were some longs coming in on pumps, and it's kind of gotten rid of a lot of them. But as you can see here, just nowhere near as many longs as shorts that we're building. Just here, it took a little bit of it, came back down, more shorts came in. So it's just sucking in these shorts at the moment. Even here, people are still going massively short. 235 million shorts. I have a feeling that they're going to get taken. And I think we just started to bounce by the look of it at the moment. Shit, am I even showing the full thing there? Anyway, sorry if that wasn't showing fully on the screen there. Hopefully you can follow it still. So yeah, pullbacks I think are still going to be met with moves to the upside. Little bit of long liquidity coming in now, like still decent numbers, 175 million there. So it could stay a little choppy, but I think if we confirm this move, it'll come back to these once it hits the 100K mark. Theoretically. it might keep going up for a little bit because there's probably going to be a ton of people going short at 100K, which would mean we could still short squeeze for a little bit. But yeah, in general, with all the short liquidity coming in, it's like CoinAnk isn't going to work for me. But in general, yeah, I think we're still going to eke to the upside. So there is a case for going short still. Anything below about 89K is probably going to be a flip bearish for me. We just got to watch whether these are fake outs. That's the big thing at the moment. Is this a fake out move? The only way you'll really know is if we get a closure above this level, and 15-minute closure at least, if not an hourly. But by the time you get into the hourly, it's probably going to be ripping past that, well past it. Okay, we're not that far away from 100K from a percentage move, only like 7% or so. That's nothing for Bitcoin. Bitcoin could literally do that today if it wanted to. Okay, so just bear that in mind. In which case, if it does it today, then it might just keep short squeezing a little bit further. If it doesn't, it might do it in 2 days. And look, there is a fair bit of selling pressure whenever we get that move up. There is a lot of sellers coming in. So, it might take a little bit longer than what the original pump took to get us to where we're at. Like, it might look something more like this. It could just look like that, and then just a sideways and then a reversal. I don't know whether it'll kind of go hit sort of 100K or a little bit higher and then just reverse straight down. We could get a bit of distribution at the top. Bitcoin will tend to do that, and when Wall Street's involved, it likes to sit around at the tops for a little bit, just sucking in a bit more retail liquidity, and then it rips to the downside on them. So that's majority of what I'm looking at on Bitcoin at the moment. That retest is the critical thing. We haven't got a big run in a lot of the alts yet. Sol is grinding up, which is good. This was another reason the other day that I wasn't super bearish on Bitcoin, because Sol kind of ran pretty hard before Bitcoin did. That ended up playing out pretty well, that LARP line. And the fact that Sol was holding so strong and was pushing up more, generally that was a good sign for Bitcoin. Brett's following a little bit as well. A lot of these did make their move after Bitcoin. A lot of them are in pullback mode at the moment still. So I'd expect once Bitcoin does hit 100K, you're probably going to see flows back into a lot of the altcoins. Things that I am looking at in that regard, and I'll try and do a better list in the next couple of days, week maybe. Brett with Nero's had a pretty good chart since inception. Mooding, it's a meme coin that is based around funding for a little hippo in South Korea or something, I think. It's just been tearing. I just think it's a good long-term meme play, to be honest. It'll get wrecked, no doubt, when everything else does, but Pepe is a good one as well. Doge, I think it's getting close to its peak for this cycle. It hasn't reached all-time highs yet, but it's getting pretty close. If this is just Bybit. Yeah, I think Doge to go much higher its market cap's going to get ridiculous. It could do it, but it's literally just fueled by the whole Department of Government Efficiency. So Litecoin, yeah, Litecoin's staying pretty strong, hey. Yeah, it dropped off a lot, but it's been trading pretty well since the last bull run. It seems like it's hanging around. A lot of miners are still mining it. Yeah, I just SHIB maybe, but some of these other ones like DOT has a long way to go. XRP had a massive push. That's a huge push, and again, probably should have seen that coming. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, but of course, with Trump in and getting rid of Gensler and stuff like that, which he can't do, but Gensler's probably going to quit anyway. You know, XRP with its lawsuit, yeah, makes sense of that. That is a big run. Hit the resistance level that I had on the chart. That probably will be support, to be honest. So 0.86 retrace wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, XRP is probably going to have a pretty good run this cycle. It is very much an institutional coin as well. Probably going to have an ETF on it at some stage, just because it's involved in a lot of the discussions around banking systems and stuff like that. So it was primarily developed for like something to effectively replace Swift. So I don't mind XRP. I'd like to get it a little bit cheaper than this, but what I'll do is I'll sort of put out a list that would be my safer bets, my potential big gainers, and then my just complete gambles with potential big upside. A lot of these haven't moved much though, so even Maker hasn't moved a lot. Quant hasn't moved that much in reality. I think that'll probably be a decent mover. A lot of the gaming coins still haven't moved that much either. So I think after we hit the 100K, like, or wherever it tops out, it wouldn't surprise me if we sort of go sideways for a little bit, potentially even sort of sideways and down for a couple of months before another leg up. And that second leg up is potentially going to be a bit of gaming, I think, gaming and AI coins. See, even Ape hasn't moved that far. Theta, yeah. All right, I'll have a look at them and get back to you. But let's have a quick look at Qs, general markets. So Q's having a pretty good day. If it closes, I'd like to see it close above that 13 EMA, which I think is a 13 EMA. That'd be nicer. But it's probably going to sit here until earnings for Nvidia tomorrow. We have recovered the vector, but we haven't closed the gap. So we haven't closed the gap to the downside either, to be honest. So potential on this one is actually a downside move tomorrow. And then after hours plus, after Nvidia earnings, then we actually base off this 50 and then move to the upside. That would make a lot of sense. Momentum is still down, but it can turn around anywhere above 50 and still go on a pretty big run. BBWP is dropping a little. Advanced decline line is still dropping on that. Yeah, look, I mean, we can go both ways here. Just hang on a sec. I just got to answer the door. I'll just pause my mic. I'm back. Sorry about that. Yeah, so I mean, there is some downside potential in this. Back down into the 100 or even the 200 wouldn't surprise me, but the underlying flows at the moment in the market and the seasonality suggests that upside is probably more likely. Yeah, it just looks like a recovery of the start of this pump, to be honest. Equal weight is probably showing a better chart there. I'd be more bullish about this chart because it has closed that gap. But still, don't be surprised if it just tomorrow we get a bit of a pullback and then the following day after NVIDIA earnings, it goes to the upside. Because the NVIDIA CEO did mention through the month that they're seeing just massive orders coming through. Equal weight, S&P 500 still hasn't closed its gap. That's not a super strong day. So, yeah, I think it's probably got a bit of downside potential. So, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if we have a bit of a red day tomorrow. Advanced decline lines still below those moving averages. So, let's just check it on the SPY. Yeah. Advanced decline line still hasn't ticked up. We still haven't closed this gap. Could even be that we actually get a little bit more sideways and down over the next week on the general stock market. It's all just sort of repositioning. This IWM, it looks like it wants to close this gap, start. And this is a pretty decent pullback. If we bounce after closing this gap, wouldn't surprise me. This is still a pretty good level for a bounce. It did find some support off this as a key level. Oops, hit the wrong one. So would it make sense to bounce here? Yeah, kind of, but I'd like to see it close that gap first for it to be a real long-term thing. But getting more and more back towards January might be a decent pullback in the market. If we get like a 10% pullback in January, would not surprise me. And then potentially the big market crash after the next run up after that. So towards the end of 2025. It would make a lot of sense based on what's happened historically. XLI, yeah, it's pulling back as well. So XLY, XLP is still high. It is pulling back a little. The equal weight version has pulled back a little bit more. So that's suggesting that there's some underlying issues there, but we're still in the bullish control zone, but it is accelerating to the downside on momentum. So it's not looking great at the moment. I think a lot of this does seem to come down to everyone waiting for NVIDIA. Once that clears, then we should have a bit more idea on direction. So KRE's been doing pretty well. Home construction is still pretty flat. So this is our first sign really that we're heading into a more major correction long term. But I'd like to see some life in this. ITB, XHB. If these break to new lows, then you're probably going to be looking at, if they get to the 200 EMA, you're probably going to get a bounce, but if they're not clearing this high on the next move up, then it suggests we're, the timer is nearing the end of their this cycle. DJR Gold's moved back into this range that we had in before, so it's suggesting that maybe a bit more pullback. DJT Gold is flat though, so a little bit of mixed signals here across the board. VIX, nothing to really write home about again. It's not pumping too much. The skew yesterday was down a little. Skew seems to be trending down now, which isn't great. Skew trending down tends to suggest we're going into a longer pullback. Yeah, some mixed signals here. It's going to be short-term trading, I think, is going to really be the best bet. Once we hit that 100K level on Bitcoin, it's going to be pretty choppy, I think. There's going to be some pretty big swings in both directions. The DAX is still holding up. This was looking like a bit of a head and shoulders, and still kind of does. It still could break down to that. Closure on the daily below 18,945 is probably going to lead the DAX quite a bit lower. Back into this support, I would think, at about 18,200. Again, that would not be a great thing for markets in general, but as I said, the economy is not necessarily the markets, and the markets aren't the economy, because the economy's fucked at the moment, really. It's not looking good at all. Yeah, Chinese stocks, I mean, that's a great tap of that 618 level. They're eking up. Yeah, look, I guess there would have been some people in here that just like this level to buy off. And it's probably not a bad level, to be honest. I'd like to see it pull back into this green box, but we'll see what happens. It's got a little bit of resistance to get through with the moving averages, and even the bottom of this here. So the 20,100 level is probably going to be key for it. But if we break back, like this, not a bad buying level, to be honest. 200 would be probably a great level. But we'll see how we go. If it breaks back above that 20,100, then it's probably going to go back up to the recent highs. And then some. Japanese market, it's still chopping sideways. Actually interesting because it's coiling sideways and momentum is resetting again with potential upside. So Japanese market's probably not looking too bad. That would bode well for the US market as well, I think. UK market is still looking shit. This actually looks like a proper breakdown. As a Wyckoff distribution, it's not great. We haven't really seen a big rip to break these highs, but it's not looking great. Rejected off the 200 EMA there and the 13. Kind of expect more downside on this. Probably back into the 7,800, which, UK market being shit is probably going to have some not huge flow-ons, but probably some flow-ons. Yeah, TLT is definitely getting some buyers around here. Apologies, I didn't set up my volume leaders stuff. I should have done that. I'll try and do that for tomorrow. But I did see on FX Evolution's video yesterday, there is a lot of big volume trades at the lows of TLT at the moment. So I'm actually going to grab a few more TLT in my super account. This is going to be ridiculous. Anyway, yeah, a lot of big buyers in this area down here. Some like top 10 biggest ever on this ticker. So whilst everyone says they're going short on this, they were probably short from up here. I think this is a pretty good spot to be buying back into treasuries. High yield junk. Again, it's kind of supporting a move up in the market. That's put in a higher low there. This is a trend reversal at the moment, a break above 79, and the market should be going up pretty well. But the fact this is bouncing and looks strong is a pretty good support for the market actually to move up. That bond ETF, that's basically a treasury ETF, I think. Anyway, yeah, it's basing at the moment as well. So LQD looks like it's moving sideways. Like to see this LQDIF. Like to see this break above that 13 again, just to be supportive of the market move to the upside. It hasn't really confirmed yet. Yield curve's still uninverted. 2-year looks like it's starting to pull back. Like to see a bit more conviction to the downside on that. Same with the 10-year. Yeah, it looks like they're kind of rolling over. Stochastic momentum's breaking back down. Generally, if you're coming down twice in quick succession, the second one will probably be a proper one. So yeah, I'd like to see them come down for the market to be going up. Copper finding a pretty good base here. It had to. Like, if we were breaking down further than that, then I'd be a bit more worried about the overall market. But yeah, copper, I think it's found its bottom. Shorter time frames, that was a pretty good trade in there. Pretty good retest of the trend line before moving away from it. Gold, yeah, great bottom. Potentially a pullback into here. Gold, not necessarily straight away, but would not surprise me if we come back into about 25.85. Silver, good move on silver. That was a good break of trend as well. Very solid move. Silver doesn't have much to recover in terms of vectors though, so yeah. If silver does pull back into about $30, then I'll probably be a buyer there. US oil, good base here. Good strong move off that low. Need to see that in oil. If oil falls through this level, then I'd be, again, a bit more worried about the economy overall. This is tied to China a little bit, I think, just oil prices in general. So if China has a decent run on their market, this will probably go up. But again, stochastic momentum is not bad here. Good level for it to go from. But yeah, oil needs to really start ripping to the upside, because realistically, we want to see a peak in oil before we're actually going to call a potential massive downside to the market. So that's why if oil was to stay around here and we started to get a big correction after Christmas, then I don't think it'd be the big end of the world type correction. I think it'd just be that sort of 10% pullback. Dixie's finally found some resistance. This level here, good level for a pullback on Dixie, which again, you kind of want to see that if you want Bitcoin to go up and markets in general to go up. Everything's kind of aligning for a run back to the upside. Aussie dollar, would have liked to have seen it recover a bit more of this wick, to be honest, but it's not a bad level. We still could get a bit of chopping around too over the next couple of days of both Dixie and the other dollars. I'm not expecting this just to rip straight down to the downside here. It's probably going to sort of bounce around this level for a little bit and then come down. Japanese yen versus US dollar, yeah, bounce off the 786 there. It's a pretty good level. Again, you probably see a little bit of chop before we actually see a proper move to the upside. Aussie dollar's doing better than the euro at the moment. But again, the euro needed to find some support here as well. So funnily enough, key levels for turnarounds. Big BBWP there on euro as well. So yeah, decent pullback up into the 107s is likely, but it'll probably do it. Won't do it in one hit, put it that way. Brazilian reals finding some support as well. Hong Kong dollar going all right, actually. The US dollar against the Hong Kong dollar. Hong Kong dollar's actually held up better than some of them, but it did have a big bleed to the downside before that. Great Britain pound finding some support. Just global liquidity pulling back still. That's probably not a great sign for the stock market in general. But yeah, not too bad. So percentage of stocks above 15 moving average has pulled back. Again, it can bounce around here. It's a pretty popular level for a bounce, but a couple more days to the downside probably wouldn't hurt either. Apple finding, Mag 7's finding some support today. Closure below that wick isn't great. Closure above that wick, I would suggest, is pretty bullish. Tesla, good bit of support around here for Tesla. Momentum's crossed to the upside again if we close around here. Tesla's not huge volume today, but if NVIDIA runs, Tesla's probably going to run too. The thing that concerns me about NVIDIA is it's had a big update today and it's closed this gap. So that to me is not great. Sorry about the background noise. Not a huge fan of this. I would have liked to have seen this just coil a little bit sideways at this support level, and then NVIDIA's earnings come out and it just rips the upside. Hopefully, tomorrow through the day, we get a little bit of a pullback into here, close this gap, and then in the after hours, it shoots to the upside. That would be quite bullish. As it stands here, if we break this before earnings is announced, it's going to be a coin flip as to whether it keeps going or not. To be honest, stochastic momentum's turning around. BBWP's dropping. Won't take much to have that reset. Same with stochastic momentum, but that puts me in two minds about NVIDIA's earnings. Yeah, I have to watch what it does before the earnings tomorrow. What you kind of want to see is a bit of a pullback into support, but this has probably got a lot of retail buying into that as well. Google still chopping around in this area. Didn't quite close that gap. RK. That's actually interesting. So RK is getting a fair bit of support in here. So small market cap, S&P 600, even the IWM could do well in this kind of market, in this run up to the inauguration. I'm still generally biased up and to the right into the inauguration. It's just whether we're going to have a bigger correction first. It's sitting right in the middle of this channel that it's finally reclaimed as well. Look, that's a pretty good area for a pullback, but at the same time, if we do get a decent run, I'd expect that to push pretty hard. Apple's still, it's broken back above that trend line. Good retest of it and moving away again. Apple's probably in a bit of a channel now, realistically. This here, not a bad kind of channel in there, but it's got a lot of overhead resistance here too. So if Apple can break above 236, then the market is probably going to be pretty bullish at that stage already, to be honest. Amazon, good level for a bounce, just because you got that support here or previous resistance here. But again, it's got gaps to the downside and the upside. So Meta, good level for a bounce if it wanted to off this trend line. Yeah, the market is really in two minds at the moment. I think it's sort of individual stocks. Man, that was a fake out. That was a short hunter. Oh, look at that. Wow. Airbnb, eh? This is nuts. Like, there was a massive dark pool transaction just in here somewhere. And actually, no, I think it was in that day. And then, bam, straight to the upside. Fucking scammers, inside trading motherfuckers. That's, yeah, bullshit. Anyway, SMCI looking strong ish. ASML's still flat, hey. I think that's off the back of all this tariffs and being told not to sell stuff into China and all that sort of shit. Stellantis is just holding the bottom of this thing. If this breaks down, you know, it's just telling you the economy's not great, which we kind of know. Same with Ford. It's struggled to get back above this channel here. I'll actually put in a level there. I'd like to see Ford close above that 1137. If it does, then there's a massive gap there to fill. So it could be a good trade. But Aussie 200 had a good day. It looks like that's going to close on an all-time high. Yeah, that's pretty bullish. Again, banking's strong, metals are strong, so the Aussie dollar, the Aussie market should be going pretty well. Plus, the Aussie dollar is weak at the moment. So now total crypto market cap has broken the previous high. I believe that was the previous high. Yeah. So total crypto market cap breaking new highs, about friggin' time, because it just shows you how much of the run was in Bitcoin and not much else. Because back when we broke all-time highs previously, the whole market was frothy AF. Like, there was retail everywhere. There was Bitcoin was high. All the altcoins were ripping. But we've broken this high basically off the back of Wall Street money coming in, or institutional money coming in through the ETFs. There's still, like, there's signs that retail are kind of starting to creep in, but there's just no money in retail at the moment. Everyone's struggling because of rates. So yeah, anyway, that's a good sign. That is a bullish sign that we've broken those highs. But yeah, ETH BTC is something that I don't know if I've pointed out on a video before, but basically the number of people that are going long ETH compared to BTC has really gone nuts since when's that? August this year. So I am expecting ETH to go on a pretty big tear once Bitcoin's done with its run, because a lot of people have been getting into it. ETH longs are increasing as well still. So again, Ethereum's probably going to be a pretty good runner. Sol is going to be a decent runner too, I would think, but certainly Ethereum, it's been smashed compared to BTC. And people, as I said, since August, since here, around this level, people have been going big long on ETH BTC. So I think we're probably getting close to a bottom here, somewhere in around this. Even we could still keep coming back a little bit, but do you think ETH is going to run pretty hard when it does? Just regarding Ethereum, good bounce off the volume area low. I don't really expect it to break back below here at the moment, especially if Bitcoin does keep going to the upside. One other thing to watch with Bitcoin is CME. CME is kind of showing you the way at the moment. It's remained bullish even when there was a gap to the downside over the weekend. CME still went up after the open. BBWP is high, momentum's high. This could be showing us the way at the moment. And look, it's staying up around 93,500. So there is a premium over the rest of the crypto exchanges. So yeah, that is suggesting that we could keep trudging higher, put it that way. Again, Sol's going well. So generally up to the right, I think is more likely at the moment. Just what we're seeing here is a decent pullback. Looks like it wants this 50 EMA here. So if we get a bounce off the 50 EMA and we reclaim this level, then yeah, I think we're going higher up. If we close back below this level here, there is a chance that we rip to the downside, but just bear in mind that we could get a fake out to the downside as well. Okay, I still think that I'm just seeing if there's a trend through there. There's not really anything substantial through there. So that wouldn't surprise me though if that was the top of this run. Yeah. So could sort of bounce up, have a rest around here, pull back in 95 and then push up to the 100K over time. Just a hypothesis. But yeah, really want to see some support pretty soon. If we break back and sort of close within this sort of area for any amount of time, then probably the bottom side of this wedge. And look, it could do a false break once, come back down, retest, and then break out on the next try. But just have to wait and see, I guess. It is looking very, very sharp pullback. Could just be trying to freak people out, sucking more shorts into the system. Okay.